the Reconstructionist Radio Podcast Network presents Worldview Media Podcast, where Gordon and Joyce Runyan view popular media through the lens of the biblical five-point covenant model to help believers appreciate and apply principles of exciting narrative and engaging storytelling.
Coming to you live from Fozziwig's annual Christmas party.
Wow.
Good old Fozziwig.
I remember him. Barely.
It's the Worldview. It's the Worldview Media Podcast, Family Edition, Christmas Holidays Edition, Winter Break Edition.
Holidays? We're all days.
We are going to be looking at the classic Christmas movie, The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Best Christmas movie. Yeah, it's pretty good.
My name is Gordon Runyan. I am the host.
And the giggler is...
I'm at 6 o'clock on your radio dial.
6 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock is my middle daughter, Jordan. Say hello.
Hello.
At midnight is the wife of my youth, Miss Joyce.
Or is it Twilight?
Is also the wife of my Twilight. At 2 o'clock is my oldest daughter, Jordan.
Wait. It's so awful.
My oldest daughter, Carmen. Say hello.
Hello.
Oh.
She brought her air horn.
I have a holiday one too. It's under construction.
And at 4 o'clock on your radio dial is my youngest daughter, Reagan.
Hello. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
That may be all she says during this. So, my family has a special attachment to the Muppets Christmas Carol. I need somebody to share with the vast audience of Worldview Media Podcasts what our Christmas Eve tradition entails.
Ever since Jordan and I were young frogs and pigs,
Well,
What?
and then we had Reagan,
Little
who was a
tadpole.
weirdo, little tadpole, we would open up one present on Christmas Eve, which was usually
always.
pajamas, and then we would sit in front of the television, and we
I
would
think
watch.
you jumped into the tradition way early.
Oh,
I mean,
it's the
way
whole
late.
thing. It's the whole thing.
Well, but you forgot all about our pre...
Oh, before that, we go and drive around and look at the Christmas tree lights.
And stop at...
Allsup's.
For hot
Hot
chocolate.
chocolate.
If you don't know what Allsup's is, it's a
Gas station.
statewide gas station in New Mexico.
Not a big gas station.
It's like a
one that
7-Eleven.
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
It's,
basically that.
it's only in New Mexico.
we- yeah. So after we've gone through the lights, we get the hot chocolate, we come back, open our pajamas, and then we sit in front of the TV in our pajamas. and-
Brand new.
pajamas, and we watch The Muppets Christmas Carol, because then, when Kermit sings the song, "There's only one more sleep till Christmas,"
Then it's true.
it's true.
Yeah.
There's only one more sleep till Christmas.
Yep, it's
And
real.
then we go to bed.
That
Most
always
of
made
us
me so
watch.
anxious as a kid. How he would say, "There's only one more sleep." I was like, "There's only one more sleep." I was so excited, and then I would just have a hard time focusing on the rest of the movie. As will be proven as we go into this.
My personal tradition is that I fall asleep in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
So he won't be able to help
Yeah.
with this podcast.
No,
for
I've still
very long.
seen it through a lot, but
Between Dad and Reagan, they kind of know what happens in the movie.
we can piece it together.
I can give you the plot right
now. Right.
I can lay down the plot right here.
Okay, so speaking of the plot of this movie, it really is a pretty... well, they changed some things, but the bones of it are Dickens's Christmas Carol. And in this we have, let's see, Bob Cratchit is played by Kermit the Frog.
Brilliant actor.
Yeah.
Legend.
Legendary frog.
What's the name of the guy that plays Scrooge?
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Also legend. Maybe
Yeah.
not as much as Kermit the Frog, but
Well,
depends on the company you roll with.
And those are the two major characters, but we have two narrators
yep.
who narrate the movie, and one is Gonzo
Yeah, as Charles Dickens.
as Charles Dickens, and Rizzo the Rat.
As himself.
As himself. As he is in all his best roles.
Yeah.
Like some other
And
actors.
so they go through the movie then, and let's just go around. What do you think about this movie overall? What do you like about it? Let's start over here, Jordan.
Oh, okay. Well, I like all the music. I think all the songs are really good.
Yeah.
And, man, all the jokes really
Yeah.
land. It's funny.
Never miss.
How long have I've been around for 25 years, and I've probably watched this for at least 24 of them. Yeah, so I might have watched it the first time, and I just don't remember. But every time I watch it, I laugh. At everything.
It's so good. It's so faithful in its own weird way to the source material.
Yeah, it's a Muppet version of it, but you can still watch it and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you
a
read
Christmas
Dickens
Carol.
afterwards, you're like, you know, I kind of like the movie more.
Oh, I definitely have a favorite part.
Oh, okay. What is it?
The scene with the Marley Brothers. Oh. Where they come
do the
back.
dance?
Yeah. The little Muppet Marley Brothers come back and dance and sing. And that's my favorite part.
Because they do the
They do the thing where the one
and
guy.
the stepping of the toe, is that in there too?
I think so.
Yeah. They do a funny dance.
They
It's
keep
really
time with the
subtle
music.
humor, but it's so good.
But it's special to us.
Yeah.
Anybody else have?
Carmen was right. She did go to the first showing of this movie when it came out in 1992, and she was about 6 months old. We were back here in Tucumcari. Gordon was out to sea for 6 months. It came in while we were here, and Carmen and I went and watched it. So
So y'all are crashing on our tradition. let's get it right.
I don't know if I could say it was Christmas Eve, but yeah. So kind of
I didn't
kinda
know that.
fun.
It was just you two.
just us two.
Oh geez.
Carmen was. So Carmen would have been. What year was that?
92. So she's about 6 months old.
Wow. All right.
Original year.
And then, and pretty much every year since then.
I think so. I think so. Probably got it, and I said, "Oh, I love this movie. We'll watch this every year."
All right. Any other overall comments about this, Mama? What do you like about it so much?
Well, I like the message of the story. I like the songs. It's funny. It's scary.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Range of emotions happening here every Christmas Eve.
So, and there's a lot of comedic parts to it. You know, I think when Mr. Scrooge goes to the Cratchit home. Poor little Kerchie.
Cratchy. Miss Piggy. Bringing it home.
Yeah, and you know the goose, and there's just a lot of good stuff in this movie. So
Smells delicious, Mother.
It smells so good.
it's the crazy eyes.
Oh man.
I do think it. Now, I haven't seen every Muppets movie, but I think I've seen a few, and for me, this is clearly the best one in terms of just comedy
Oh yeah, it's really good.
and music. I thought it was really funny. Okay.
And the puppeteers are all really,
Okay.
they're all really good.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
they've got a range of sizes of puppets that are in the movie.
Oh,
and they're
true.
Just, you
The
know,
little
from-
nieces.
Yeah.
Well,
And maybe that's, you know, some cool editing and filming, and they're not so tiny, but there's just
But
and the
this-
music is really fun.
Yeah, it is good.
there's a scene with Michael Caine, and he's there with those little tiny mice, and it's Michael Caine next to those tiny mice.
Yeah.
There's probably at least real tiny mice out there.
No cheeses for
Us Mises.
yeah.
Forgot my jelly bean.
My broken little pot.
All right. I guess if anybody else has any overall things, or if you said all you want to say overall about this movie.
Well, personally, I think this movie gets looked over as a solid Christmas time movie. You know, I was looking on Facebook and it had like the top 10, and of course there's always It's a Wonderful Life, and
White
there's
Home Alone.
Elf, and you know, there's all these others.
Home
But
Alone.
It's a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. He's
But-
home alone.
But there was
Christmas.
no Muppets Christmas Carol, so I was like, all right, guys, come on now. Muppets Christmas Carol. You know it's true. And so, and I don't even know if they had the original.
Oh, like
or maybe
any
they
version?
did. Maybe they did have a
Home
original
Alone
one.
is not a Christmas movie.
First one is set during Christmas.
They're all
It's
set
set
during
during
Christmas.
Christmas,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that
that's
would
like
make
Die Hard.
Yeah.
that would make Lethal Weapon a Christmas movie.
Some people have Die Hard as. I have friends that their favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard. Of course, they haven't seen the Muppet Christmas Carol, so
Okay.
they don't know any
Polar
better.
Express is another one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I hate that movie. It's my favorite.
That was a bad movie.
Yuck.
That was
It was nice.
Let's just
no,
move on.
it wasn't.
Move on. We're not talking about Polar Express. We can do that next Christmas.
No, let's
We
not.
didn't even like the book, really.
No, never read it.
So,
Not surprised.
not the same quality as Muppets Christmas Carol. So, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it.
Is
And
it
then-
the best Christmas Carol movie that you've seen?
think it's
There
the
are
only
millions
one.
of those.
I've seen.
Yes. I have to say yes.
PBS had a Christmas Carol thing that was a musical, and it was just the singers on the stage. But it
Oh, yeah.
seemed to me like that was really good.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Well,
that?
did you watch all of it?
Well,
Does he watch all of this?
I mean, I think it was that was kind of fun, I guess. That was a pretty nice little production.
and there was a Patrick Stewart one.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, he is top notch.
Yeah. My thing for this movie, what I would say, like, yes, okay, Patrick Stewart's great, and there's all these different versions of it out there. But I think if you're looking for something that you can put your entire family down and watch, you know, if you want a Christmas Carol to sit down and watch as a family, regardless of kind of age, this would be the one that you should do. Because, you know, there is the really kind of goofy stuff going on, but there are some scenes where, like, when the ghost of Christmas Past shows up, Gonzo and Rizzo kind of look out around the door. They're like, oh, it's getting spooky out. We're just going to leave. See you later. And they do, and they're gone. And so then the whole movie after that point goes, you know, very somber. The ghost doesn't speak to him. You know, they go to the grave, and he's crying. And it's like, I remember being concerned about that big ghost when I was small.
Crazy.
I still am.
You're talking about the Christmas yet to come.
Yeah.
Christmas yet to come, yeah. You know, being concerned about that. And there's some really good, even though it is a Muppet movie, you know, there's some really, like, emotional parts in it.
Yes.
So
She cries every year.
I cry every year when he tells her.
She's crying right now.
Not yet, but I'm working on it. You know, but it's here it goes. I gotta be strong. Love is not gone. But there's a lot of stuff in there, and it is. I think there's a lot of stuff for
There's
different
something
ages.
for everyone.
Something for everyone. Yes, thank you, Jordan. I got caught up in the love.
And lost.
That's
Sad.
not characteristic of you. That's amazing.
I gotta hide it.
Amazing.
I gotta hide it because I just get too emotional. I'll start crying, so I gotta be tough.
Oh, my.
Well, and I think it's really, it relates to the condition of man and who we are as unredeemed people and the mistakes that we make, and that these things will haunt you.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
You're moving into worldview.
just saying, good movie. Y'all watch it.
Yeah. All right, let's take our break, and when we come back, we have a guest who is a expert on Charles Dickens
Expert.
and the Christmas
Is it
Carol.
Dickens himself? Gonzo?
I know it like the back of my head.
Someone the scar on my wrist when I fell off my bike.
All right, break time. See ya.
Are you interested in Christian education? Would you like to learn how to be a Christian teacher or how to run your very own Christian school with success? the GCS Apprenticeship Program can help. Learn more on our website at gcsapprenticeship.com.
The Reconstructionist Radio Podcast Network brings to you a complete lineup of podcasts where you will hear practical and tactical theology. Our desire is not simply that you consume our shows, but that you also live out your faith in every area of life. We can talk all day long about these things, but if we fail to put them into practice, then we fail as ambassadors of Jesus Christ, our King. Subscribe now to your favorite Reconstructionist Radio Podcast Network shows, or you can subscribe to the Reconstructionist Radio Master Feed, where all of the content we produce, including the audiobooks and audio articles, will pop up as soon as they are available. And don't forget to visit reconstructionistradio.com to volunteer as a narrator or to partner with this ministry financially. May the Holy Spirit stir you into action for Christ and His kingdom.
We're back on the Worldview Media Podcast talking about the Christmas classic, The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, not as good. Workshop it. Take it to the workshop.
The Christmas air horn fell flat. All right, so we have our own resident expert on the Charles Dickens story, The Christmas Carol.
Whoa.
That is impossible.
What a twist.
My middle daughter, Jordan, is
Brilliant.
studying to receive... She is brilliant.
Beautiful.
Single.
She's
picky.
yeah.
She has standards. She's not picky.
She is studying to receive her master's degree in English. Is there an emphasis? Or?
Creative writing is my emphasis.
Okay, creative writing. And this last semester, of course, you're home on Christmas break.
Yeah, it's all over now.
This last semester, one of her classes was just about the Christmas Carol.
Well, that was her project.
Well, for me, it was.
And she had to read everything that's ever been written about the Christmas Carol.
Much as I could.
And write a huge
It
paper.
It was 20 pages long.
Okay, so it was a big old paper. And what I thought I would have you do, since you're obviously the expert here,
Sure.
is
Oh, she likes that too much.
talk about the consensus of what the so-called experts believe the message of Dickens's original story is.
Well, okay. So there are typically like three camps that literary critics will sort of fall into when they are looking at A Christmas Carol, and the most popular of them is the sort of allegorical camp, which will read the carol as being like it's clearly this sort of conversion allegory where Scrooge is the person who's really greedy and selfish and all of the things that he is.
Yeah.
And
That's a jump.
I don't know how they get that.
and that throughout the story, the three ghosts symbolize different things to different critics. Sometimes it's the awakening of different parts of like the human person, so like the mind and the heart and the soul. And sometimes it's it's just depending on who you look at, what they're gonna say. Sort of everybody is.
Camp 2.
Well, what?
She's ready for Camp 2.
Well, it's not. I'm not done with Camp 1.
We're still camping.
Hit the highlights.
I am hitting the highlights.
Carmen, it took you 5 minutes to say that there's everyone can enjoy this film.
Everyone can enjoy the film.
Because it's...
Hey, you
It's
had
not
your
a
chance.
theoretical discussion, though.
You
That's
had your
all right, it's all right.
chance.
Go on.
And that the whole story is then the conversion of this sort of misanthropic guy to being more caring and philanthropic and
There you go.
generosity and compassion and all these things that he had sort of been lacking, and that sort of conversion then allows him to kind of join society and because he had sort of been pushing all that away. The other two camps are one is they'll look at it psychologically to see if sort of this overnight transformation can make sense psychologically. So the one guy I read had written an essay about how the experiences that Scrooge has, if we interpret them as being like dreams and not actual things, then we sort of get this idea that he's always kind of known all these things subliminally, and now it's coming out and all this stuff. So the psychological camp will sort of try to justify the whole overnightness.
For the psychological camp, what's the trigger? Is it the bad piece of cheese or?
Well, I mean, it'll vary, I guess, from different people, but and then
because he'd been like that forever.
Entire life.
Yeah, it's true. And then, that's why they're trying to be like, is it really even conceivable that somebody like this could change so drastically overnight? And then the last camp will look at it economically, and they come up with like a really wide range of different varying ideas about what.
So they're
being
thinking
said.
that Dickens was commenting on economics at the time? Or?
Yeah, that kind of thing, that it's more economical and about like society,
So just a
than
snapshot.
it is about like a personal
But
sort
wouldn't
of
that just be another
journey.
kind of allegory, though?
Well, technically it is, but it's what they're sort of focusing on.
Okay.
The
Because
economical aspect.
the really allegorical camp is looking more at like they're sort of more specifically religious, whereas the economical camp is more looking at like the economy
and the
power
psychological
structures and all of these things.
Would just completely disregard any religious aspect.
Okay, so here's a question I had for you.
Which camp were you?
Do you fit in a camp?
For my paper, I was probably allegorical.
Okay.
But did you agree with everybody else?
Well, sure, mostly.
Mostly.
That's why she went to that camp.
All right.
That's why I decided to pitch my tent.
What?
You never pitch anything.
All right. I had a question. When there's a part in the Muppets Christmas Carol where Tiny Tim had just come back from, was it, Christmas Eve service or something?
Oh, yeah.
And he makes kind of a oblong, sideways reference to Jesus without mentioning his name.
Yeah.
But what's he say? Hopefully him being there as a little cripple boy will remind people of the one who made the lame to see and the blind to walk and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's the gist of it.
It's the blind to see and the lame to walk.
Oh, what did I say?
You said the opposite thing.
The lame to see.
That's something. That's a real
And if
miracle.
they can walk, and I can paint.
Okay, so that was an obvious reference to Jesus without saying his name. And so what I have wondered, I haven't read the Christmas Carol, but what I have wondered is, do the versions that we get on screen just leave Jesus out, or did Dickens leave him out? Is that what they did in the Muppet thing? Is that faithful?
The Muppet
or
thing
not?
is pretty much verbatim.
Yeah.
So that's what is in the book. Yeah, Dickens is sort of
High five for the Muppets.
Yeah!
Okay.
Dickens is sort of, and it's been suggested that it's very purposefully sort of vague about those things. And I forget the quote, but I had read somewhere that he, in the book, was always, that he had like a benevolent attitude toward religion without sort of...
Really buying
Without,
in.
Shoving it down people's throats.
Yeah.
Well, there was kind of an Enlightenment era idea that maybe what society needs is the fruits of Christian religion without the spiritual reality of
Without
Christian
the
religion.
roots.
Yeah, that you could have the fruit without the root.
Yeah, I feel like that is probably exactly what's happening.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. Okay. Let's talk about themes, or what do you get out of this? I feel like I feel like there are some things in the movie that are communicated that are maybe a little bit more incidental and stuff like that. Just what do you think the movie's about?
I think ultimately it comes down to whatever your treasure is, there is your heart.
That's
And you see that definitely in the character of Scrooge from the beginning to what he valued to the end of what he valued and what he was going to invest in and pour himself into, and that changed radically. And it wasn't that he didn't have the money or the funds to do the things that he did at the end of the movie. It just that wasn't his desire to do those things. And even for his own benefit, he didn't use his money. You know,
Right.
he lived in a cold, dark house. He had scraps of food.
Yeah.
Remind you of anyone?
Joyce.
Because frugality is not a bad thing.
It's 52 degrees in here.
What did I tell you? Dress like it's winter.
Please send us all coats for Christmas.
But no, I think
At
you're
least a
right,
scarf.
and I think that's also true not only with the character of Scrooge, but also the family. I can't even think. Tiny Tim,
The Cratchits.
yeah, the Cratchits, and how they
Didn't really have a lot.
They didn't have a lot, but they
Their value wasn't on.
yes.
Was on.
Love.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Kind of my overarching, like, yes, the where your heart is, that's where your treasure is gonna be. But also, I think in all of the big flashback scenes that we see, in the flash forward that we see, is him kind of looking at love in different things. You know, when he's a kid, he doesn't go home to see his parents or anything like that. There's
Right.
no like familial love there. And then going to his workplace and, you know, all these people that are happy and, you know, connecting to each other. He doesn't have any kind of just like, you know, love between friends. And then, you know, with Belle, that he gives up on romantic love and having a family of his own in the future. And then when he dies, that there's
was
no
nobody,
one,
yeah.
there's no one to
cares?
love him or care about him. And so for me, a lot of this is kind of pushing and it's kind of what you're saying, but the difference between like love and money, like success emotionally and success materially, you know, and that's what he sees when he goes to the Cratchit's house, is like, this is what love looks like, and it's just kind of something that throws him off completely.
Yeah.
And then when he goes to his own family's house and they don't say anything nice about him, and, you know, he kind of...
Yeah.
And that always makes me sad, too, because he's into it until, you know, he's the punchline of a joke, and then you can just kind of see him...
All he deflates.
Yeah, he just kind of shatters a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that you bring in the aspect of when he's a kid and he spends all of his holidays at boarding school and doesn't really spend time with his family. You know,
Or the other kids, even.
I think we grow up in homes where we think that's normal. And so when you go out from that home, that's the things that you're going to carry with you, that this is how I relate to people and this is how I relate. And so I always say that each family is dysfunctional just because we're fallen people. You try to do the best you can and you're going to make mistakes, but each family is dysfunctional, and you carry that, and you expect the world to work like that. And I think you saw that when you went off to college,
Yeah.
and you said, oh my word, there's some weird people out there.
Put your hands up.
So I hadn't thought about that aspect of Scrooge.
And it just makes me sad for him, too, because for him to go through... Because he's an old guy, you know?
Yeah.
So
Right.
to go through his whole life just... And you look at it, and it's just lonely. And it's very sad.
Yeah.
Well, it does kind of make you wonder how he got that way, because I think Mom was, when Jordan was talking about the psychological camp, to me, there's a lot of that makes sense. I believe the ghosts were really there,
Sure.
but Miss Joyce
I'm in it.
came up with this, you made kind of an offhand remark that if his subconscious is what is correcting him, then that means on some level he knew the right answer the whole time.
Right.
And that's very interesting. And you kind of see that as especially Ghost of Christmas Past comes and shows him all those scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see him brighten up as he sees these fond memories of
Right.
loving
Being
people.
alone.
Yeah. Well, that's really sad too. That he's like naming all these kids, and he's all excited to see him, and then you see him as a kid, and he doesn't want anything to do with any of
Right,
them.
and how he loved Fozziwig, and what a
Yeah.
great boss he was, even though he was a horrible businessman. And
So ridiculous.
and then with the girl Belle that he left behind, you can tell that broke his heart. So it just kind of makes you wonder, what was it that hardened him and made him something other than that? Was it just the idolatry of worshiping money and success?
Well, when will idolatry not land you up in a bad
Well,
place?
exactly. There is a concept in the Bible that's throughout it that men become like what they worship. And that's the whole goal of the Christian life, is to become more and more like Christ in everything that we do, and to make the world more and more like Christ's kingdom. You know, it is his kingdom, but on earth as it is in heaven.
Transforming.
And but it works with idols too. You know, the Psalms say that idols have eyes but don't see, and ears but don't hear. They have feet but they can't move. And then it says, at least in one place, it says, and those who make them are like them. And so I think the concept is you become like what you worship, whether you want to or not. And so we see this guy who loves the cold, hard cash, and he becomes cold and hard.
Yeah.
And, even though he knows better. And at some level, you can see he kind of regrets that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I kind of like about this story is that it shows actual. I have to preface this because it isn't an explicitly Christian story, but it does show a sinner realizing he's been doing it wrong. It does show a guy repenting.
Yeah.
You know, it's within the confines of the story.
Yeah.
It's not biblical repentance in that he's not specifically turning to God in Christ, but you do see him actually making a U-turn that bears fruit and sustains that fruit. And
Yeah.
what some of the last lines are about how his reputation changed from that point
There was
forward.
never.
Oh,
There was never.
he was the.
There was never a man who, as good a man.
Oh yeah, he was as good a man as the good old city ever
Ever
seen.
As good a
Tiny
soul.
Tim.
And let
Who
that
did
be said
not
of us, and all of us. And as Tiny Tim.
Yeah, well, and that's one of those direct kind of fruits that you mentioned. You know, in the alternate future he goes to where he dies, Tiny Tim has also died. But then, you know, at the end, Gonzo and Rizzo were talking about it, and Tiny Tim, who did not die,
and that's
yeah, that's kind of directly attributed to Scrooge changing his behavior. You know, well, and it's not
Right.
like explicitly said Scrooge saved Tiny Tim's life, but
Well, he had to have on
Yeah.
some level.
Yeah,
on some
They
level,
Yeah, right.
gave him a raise.
Yeah, the Cratchits have money now.
They don't have to live in a 55-degree home. And
Mr. Scrooge,
Lots
if
of
you're
people don't
listening,
have
What?
you're out there. Jordan's pretty short, so
I'm just like the little rats at the office. This is my island.
That was the frog's idea.
Whoa.
oh boy, y'all are funny. This is what life is like in the Runyan home.
we have to have bright senses of humor to see our way through the dark halls.
There's only one.
There's one hall.
It is pretty dark.
That was a great line. I like that a lot.
That's why you have that headlamp.
I do. No, I do. I have a lot of headlamps. People are like, are you a minor? No, I just want
I just want to be able to see.
Yeah. People think I'm prepared. I just live a rough life.
She lives like a mole,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh boy.
Now.
We like it here.
All right, any other thoughts or comments on the Muppets Christmas Carol?
I'm already ready to watch it. When I went to Florida the first time, I was gone for Christmas the first time. First time I was gone for Christmas, Mom sent me a copy of it, and I made my roommates watch it with me, and they loved it. And then I watched it again by myself so I could sing all the songs. I did it the same thing the next year. Like, it's great. I love this movie.
All right. So, is this the best Christmas movie for y'all? Or does somebody have a favorite that's different than this one?
I don't really think that I watch a lot of other
Yeah,
Christmas movies.
I realized this year that I have not seen a lot of Christmas movies.
Well, we watched the traditional, like, stop motion.
Oh yeah, we do.
We
like,
watch those, but that's not like...
I don't.
like Santa Claus is coming to
I don't
town,
know.
or
Yeah.
a year without a
Not
Santa Claus.
But that's not like I
Rudolph.
have to watch those. If they're on, it's like, oh, cute, I get to watch these. But
Yeah.
like, I have to watch... But for Christmas Carol, and the only reason I don't think I watch it more in December is because I have to watch it on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's
Have
weird.
y'all seen It's a Wonderful Life?
I
all the
feel
way
like I
through?
saw some of it.
I have seen it, and I didn't especially enjoy it.
The thing is, I feel like I've seen some of those old Christmas movies, like Miracle on 34th Street or whatever, but they're all just so slow and kind of.
They don't have the depth
And they
and the entertaining.
or any.
I like White Christmas,
Any
but I don't
frogs?
think it's my favorite.
That's all right. I mean, there are other Christmas movies out there, but
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is quality
It's up there.
entertainment.
It is pretty funny. And Elf is pretty funny
It
too.
was pretty funny. But if you're looking for, like,
something with good solid meat.
some depth and...
Right. That's actually got a Christmassy sort of message to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
And it's
real.
a story you can grow into. So really, you've seen it all
My
of your
whole
life.
life. No, because that was year 0, too.
Wow. All right. Well, we're going to call an end to this and wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and
Join
blessings
us in
to
our
everybody.
tradition.
Yes.
All right.
You don't have to go to Allsup's in New Mexico.
No, that's part
You
of
can
the,
go to your
that's
gas
part of the
station in
tradition.
your state, in your town, and then drive around real slow looking at strangers' houses.
Well, the reason we go to that place is because
It's
everybody
open.
else closes, and so they're the only ones open to get hot chocolate.
Works out okay though.
No, I like it. It's a good chocolate.
All right. So, Merry Christmas, y'all. Go out and Dominionize.
There it is.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
We'll see y'all next year.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to the Worldview Media Podcast. Please visit reconstructionistradio.com to check out the other podcasts in our network and to download our free audiobooks.